Good evening, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, actually, your co host tonight. It's great. Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is Chalk Talk Between the Lines. Tuesday, April 18th, 2023, just 12, 13 days, however many days there are in April. And then we turn the calendar to May. And that first Saturday in May, of course, is the Kentucky Derby, the run for the roses, or as some will say, the run for the hills. But tonight, myself, Scotty, live from Sarasota, Florida, talking baseball as we're about 2.5 weeks, coming up on 3 weeks into the season. Some highs, some lows, a lot of injury, of people going down, a lot of pitchers going down, but that's part of the game. There's no crying in baseball. I think we heard that a few times, but let's bring in the other star of this show, the one and only Mr. Scott E. Webb. Evening, Scott.
Well, good evening, Jeff. It is Tuesday, a little after 7 o'clock. Hey, Connor, how you doing? And I would say that baseball is baseball, man. You got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. You get one team goes out, scores 5 runs. The next team turn around, they come back, they score 4 runs. I mean, how many runs does it take? Well, I guess it takes enough to win, right? So, anyway, it's baseball. It's and then the other game, you get 1-0, and a game almost goes into extra innings. They win 4-3. Team sweeps a doubleheader. No, hey man, it's baseball.
Shout out to Connor as he has blessed us in the studio audience this evening with everyone else watching. Thank you. If you are not following us and don't want to miss a show, jump on over to YouTube, East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's free. Make sure you're following Scotty at Webby20MLB and myself at EC Sports Invest. As Scotty said backstage, he thought Lodolo is in for a rough outing. Blink, and you're answered with I assume, a 3-run dong. 4-0 Rays, top of the second. Taj Bradley on the hill for the Rays, his second start. Correct, Scott?
Yeah, second. Taj Bradley, man,
Billy Hewlin watching and eating on the app on ECS. Billy, you are missed. Hug that bride. Tell Rebecca. The guy from the East Coast says hello, and the guy, obviously, from Florida says hello. Hope all is well in your world, Billy. As you were saying about Mr. Bradley.
Well, Ray's got some bad news today. Mr. Jeffrey Springs is going under for Tommy John surgery, so he's done till next year. And that kid has gotten, I don't know, he's fought hard to get back to where he was, and now all of a sudden he's got this problem. But I don't know, it's the same problem. These Rays guys, they all got Tommy John. And Glass now went through it. Honeywell went through it. All these guys go through it, and then all of a sudden, bling, 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 bling. Here comes another guy. Here comes another guy. Here comes another guy. Well, I don't want to sit here and say too much, but they got another guy, Jeff, other than this Taj kid. They got another one coming. But whatever.
Who's this?
It's the Rays. I don't know.
What's this guy's name?
I would have to look. I forget his name off the top of my head because he's pitching in the minor leagues. Now, I will tell you this. I forget what team he pitches for, but there's a kid they called up that's going to pitch tomorrow. And if I look at there might be on the thing already. Hold on. I'll tell you what this kid's name is. So there's a kid pitching tomorrow in Major League Baseball, making his Major League debut, who hasn't pitched hardly any minor league games. Only faced like 150 batters or something like that in the minor leagues, all levels of the minor leagues. If I can get his name, I will tell you. Miller. His name is Mike Miller. Now, granted, he's an Oakland A, okay? So whatever. Doesn't matter. He's an Oakland A. His strike He struck out half the batters he's faced in the minor leagues, Jeff.
Where did he go to school?
He's going to make his major league debut tomorrow. This kid is, I don't know. This guy goes up there, throws 100 miles an hour, makes the ball move, does all this stuff, and nobody can hit him. So I guess if you're in Oakland, you got to go and say, shit, I can't got anybody that can pitch. I got to get this Caprillion guy out of here, and I got to get, who's that guy pitching tonight? Waldichuk. I got to get those guys out of here and bring in these kids. So, I mean, if you're Oakland, you're Oakland. You got to do whatever you got to do, I suppose. But there's also another guy's name is Stout. He's pitching for Cincinnati tomorrow, making his major league debut. So here's what's fun about baseball right now is the old guard needs to get the hell out, right? I mean, we talked about this, like, why is Urania still pitching for Colorado? Get these kids and get them up here, Rich Hill still pitching for Pittsburgh. I get it, he won last night or whatever, but Jesus Christ, I think I could go hit Rich Hill still. So the point being is that you got to get these guys up here that nobody's seen. They throw hard as hell, and you get out.
Well, before we get going here, and there's a game going on, as we talked about, the Detroit Tigers, winners of 5 in a row, swept the Guardians today, 4-3 and 1-0. Erod, a big second game there. We got games going on as we speak. Your Rays at the bottom of the second now lead 4-0. Let me see, what else do I have here in front of me? I have some college games.
Giants are ahead 2-0 Giants.
Giants scored 2 in the first. And that's it. Everything else is just starting. So with everyone watching and listening, Scott, we got a handful of games about to go off where first pitch is starting. And then obviously we have a lot of games this evening. Talk about what you like, what you leaned. Give some people some information on tonight's slate.
All right. Well, if you haven't noticed from Jeff's introduction and talking about things, I'm on Tampa Bay today. So and it has a lot to do with Lodolo. So I'll break down some of that. I just want to go through this a little bit and then we'll go from there. And then we'll hit on a few things, some specifics. So Wood and Cabrera's already going. Bradley Little's already going. You got Suarez and Schmidt going. They're getting ready to start right now. So, I didn't play this game, but both of these pitchers look very hittable. The Yankees typically beat up lefties, though they haven't beat up too many lefties so far this year. But Suarez is, I don't think, in the best of spots here. Now, he's pitched halfway decent against the Yankees in the past, but I think this is one of those games that there's going to be some runs scored. So there might be a good over spot. Kramer is pitching against Gray in the Baltimore game. I'm not on that one. Kramer hasn't pitched well yet, and I'm kind of surprised because his velocity has jumped. Anytime you usually get a guy that throws harder than what they have in the past, you tend to have better stuff. And he just hasn't either been able to control it. His walk rate's not as bad as some of the guys pitching today. But he's not getting swings and misses on that stuff. And you want pitchers that are going to get swings and misses. And we'll talk about some of that in a minute. But and I kind of like Josiah Gray. I mean, I kind of like the Nationals today as a real long shot kind of play if you want to just sprinkle something on there. Because the Baltimore offense is pretty good. Jeff and I talked about this before the season started. I thought they were going to be good. I really thought that the third baseman was going to play a little better than what he has. He got off to a pretty slow start, but as they get going, that kid's going to play too. I am on this game though. This is Sonny Gray against Chris Sale, and I'm on the Red Sox here. And I'll break this one down just a little bit. So there's a couple of things, and one of the things I want to talk about is sustainability in Major League Baseball. So, I've been talking about this in partly, is streaks, right? Ride the streaks. So, for example, if you were on Detroit today, or let's put it this way, if you liked Cleveland today, you shouldn't have bet Cleveland today, even if you liked them. The reason being is because you're going against the Detroit Tigers, who have won 3 straight games. Okay, well, there's no, you can't tell me that you know when they're going to lose. So you ride those streaks out, and sure enough, they won both games of the doubleheader. So now they've won 5 games in a row. Can you imagine if you were betting on the Detroit Tigers and bet them all 5 of those games and how much money you'd be racking in, because they're not favorites in most of that stuff. So they're going to be big underdogs in a lot of that thing. So, and this is another case where sustainability is important, because there's some things in play that you got to understand. So I tell you to ride streaks. Now I'm going to tell you to bet against sustainability. So what does that mean? So Sonny Gray's pitching today, and Sonny Gray has had 3 great starts. Can he get a 4th one? Sure, he could get a 4th one. It's not logical that he would get a 4th one, but he can. It's certainly possible. Now, if you're an ace guy that, is used to going out there and having, the ace on your back, and you're the best pitcher in baseball, you're going to throw 4, 5, 6 games really good in a row, maybe 7 games before you have that dud game. Guys like Sonny Gray or the next couple of tier down guys, they're going to throw 3 or 4 games in a row, and then they're not. And then they're going to throw 3 or 4 in a row, and then they're not. That's the way it works. That's the way humans are. We're not robots. So sustainability can kind of get you to a point where you sit here and go, well, what's sustainable and what's not? So first of all, the big red flag to me is left on base percentage. So the left on base percentage in Major League Baseball right now is 72%. So that's the average. So if you're a better pitcher than that, you're going to probably have a little bit higher than a 72% left on base percentage. You're going to be a better pitcher. You're going to keep guys from scoring base. Sonny Gray is at 94.1%, 94.1. That's not sustainable. So what that means is he's going to give up runs at some point. Is it going to be tonight? Well, theoretically, you're going to start to drop that number down to get it closer to average. You're not going to keep it up. It's not going to go higher. It's going to go lower. So that's number one. Number 2 in his system here, and I shouldn't say system, that's the wrong word, but sustainability, is BABIP. Now, you've heard this term thrown out there called BABIP. Now, what that is, it's batted average on balls in play. So the league average is 299 right now. That's the league average, 299. So if you're below 299, that means that balls have been hit in play, have been hit to fielders, so they've made outs. If you're above 299, well, balls have been hit not where fielders are, so it's above, so they get hits. So over the course of a season, that'll even out to a degree based on what kind of pitcher you are. So, for example, if you are a hard hit rate guy, you give up a lot of hard hit balls, you might have a pretty high BABIP number anyway, just because balls get past the fielders. So Sonny Gray is not that kind of guy where he's a big hard hit rate guy. So in Sonny Gray's case, his BABIP number is 238. So that's well below the number of 299, 60 points below the number. So balls that he's been getting hit to fielders should start finding holes. And his left on base percentage tells me that maybe it's tonight. Just because those things need to offset. Guys don't go out there and throw 4 straight games at 90% guys not scoring. It doesn't happen unless you're one of the top 5 pitchers in all of baseball, and Sonny Gray is not that. So that's why that's the first indication as to what set me on to the idea that, hey, I can probably bet on Boston today. The other couple of things that point you in that direction is that the Minnesota Twins are on a 3-game losing streak now. So they lost 3 straight. So who's to say they can't lose 4? Well, not me. My job is not to go out and handicap the when I think a streak is going to lose or when it's going to be over. That's not what I do. That's not what any of you should do. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be handicapping the game, the pitchers, the matchups, that kind of thing. So then you have Chris Sale that comes along, and Chris Sale, everybody's going, God, he's been awful. Well, what if I told you this? So there's numbers out there that are called XFIP numbers. That's it's the predicted fielding independent pitching number. It's important. Fielding independent pitching is what a pitcher can do, not reliant on his fielders. So it counts walks, home runs, strikeouts. That's about it. That's all it really counts. But his predicted number, XFIP number, is 3.82. 3.82. That's really pretty good. And if I told you that even though Sonny Gray's been great, his XFIP number today is 4.03, that'd probably throw you for a little bit of a loop, huh? Well, it's because the numbers, the data goes and says, hey, it's not sustainable to get these many left on base guys. It's not sustainable to have balls hit to the same players over and over. So it's predicting that he's going to give up runs. And just like for the opposite side, on Sale's side, he's pitching a little better than what he's getting credit for. Now, I will say this, he's walking too many people. You got to throw strikes, but his swing and miss is still pretty high. It's 14. I'm sorry. Yeah. It is, get the right number. It's 12.6%. That's pretty good. You want to be double digits in that category of swing and miss. So what that means is he's throwing strikes and 12% of the time they can't hit it. 12% is probably, well, just looking at the numbers here real quick, it's about fourth or fifth best on the card today. So it's not that he's throwing terrible, but his BABIP number is 408, 406, 406. That's pretty high when you consider it's 299 is the number. So he's been getting what they would consider to say unlucky, in a sense that balls that are put in play are not finding the fielders. So the only drawback to his numbers is that the hard hit rate's a little higher than what you want it to be. But I think you got a good spot here for Boston tonight. So I took the Red Sox today. I was hoping to get him as a small dog. I got him as basically nothing, minus 105. I don't remember what the number is now. I think it's more like it's still pick 'em kind of line. The second game of the doubleheader, Falter and Giolito. Falter's been decent. He's got nothing really to say that he couldn't continue to do what he's doing. And Giolito looks like he had a good game last time, hasn't been pitching that great. And he's running into those high BABIP guys again. But those guys, just in comparison, right? Falter is a 69.8% left on base percent and 66 for Giolito. So those guys are actually not getting the result that they're looking for, but neither has the performance been the same. So you kind of correlate that. So here's another game that I think matches up, and I bet on this one. This is Texas. And this is and against Kansas City. This is Evaldi. Now Evaldi is off a bad game. He's got a game score 34 his last time out. That's not very good at all. The average is 50-51. He's at a 34. It's not very good. His average for the season over 3 starts is 50. So he's been an average pitcher, but that brought him back down to being in that average range, and that's what happens. A lot of times you're going to see this over and over and over and over. Just the course of a season, they just pitchers will go up and then they'll come down a little. They'll go up, they'll come down a little. They stay at the average, but to stay at the average, they go up and down. So it kind of helps to predict that. So I think Evaldi's going to pitch pretty well. So he has a great XFIP number. It's 303. It's really good. He's actually got a really good Sierra number too. Now I don't want to get into all these numbers, but and data points, but he's got really good metrics tonight. He's favorable in the matchup that he's facing with Kansas City, the batters that he's faced before. He's got a good swing and miss rate, and he's against Keller. Now Keller's pitched excellent for Kansas City. He's probably been the only pitcher that's pitched great for them. They've had a little bit of success from Greinke, but Keller's been really good. His last time out, he threw a game score 71. That's really high. His average for the season is 61. So he's throwing like, an ace guy does, but he's not that. His XFIP number is 4.36. So that's 1.5 runs almost worse than what it is in Texas. So what's the deal? Well, the deal is that his walk rate's at 4.24, right? That's what it is. And it becomes an idea or a problem when he has a high walk rate and a low swing and miss rate. His swing and miss rate is 9.8%. So you need to be double digits or higher. And he's in the red on my score sheet, which tells me that, okay, there's going to be contact. So he's going to put guys on base and there's going to be contact. And then when you stretch it out even farther for him, he has one of those high left on base percentages, 86.7%. So he's been getting hit, but the balls in play have been not scoring runs. Well, that's going to change at some point, and I think maybe tonight might be one of those nights for him. His BABIP number is 238. Remember, we already talked about that. That's a really low number. So I think his luck runs out tonight. So I'm betting on Eovaldi tonight. Jameson is pitching for Arizona against Montgomery. I didn't play this game. I like Montgomery. I like the way he pitches. I don't like St. Louis. So something going on there. Yes, TJ, I see. Tampa Bay is doing well right now. But I will say this. The Yankees could probably use Montgomery right now with all the injuries they got. But Jameson is a kid. If you haven't seen him, you got to look at his shoes. And I know that sounds silly, but he has Scooby-Doo shoes. I mean, he's got the Mean Machine all over his shoes. He's pretty funny. But he throws 100 miles an hour, this kid. And he's got a really, really good breaking ball. And then this next game, I think I've got a little opinion. Now I didn't play it, but I got an opinion. This is Bassett and Urquidy. Now I've been saying from the moment I saw it to bet against Bassett. You got to bet against him. Every time he pitches, bet against Bassett. The reason is because he is not the same pitcher this year that he was last year, and the sports books haven't caught up yet, especially early. But they will. They're going to catch up. And the reason I'm telling you this is because his fastball is about 90, 91, and it used to be 93. So he's lost a lot of velocity on his fastball, and he's getting crushed. Now, sometimes sustainability means that because you're getting crushed and you keep throwing like you did a year ago when your stuff was better, you're going to continue to get crushed. So you keep betting him until he changes his pitching style. So, what I'm talking about is Kershaw. So Kershaw used to throw 95, 96 miles an hour. He can't do that anymore. But he's learned to pitch. So he puts the ball in the right place. He throws curveballs nobody can hit, all that stuff. Well, that's what Bassett needs to learn to do that he hasn't had a chance to do. So until then, you bet against him. Well, here's the problem. Urquidy is the guy that is on the spot where he's been pitching so well that the truth of the matter is he's in one of those spots where, holy crap, he's going to get hit. So if he's in one of those spots, he's going to get hit. And Bassett's going to get hit. You got to bet the over. And my thought is that I think the first half is the better way to go. Just bet first half and the over in this game, and you'll probably have 17 runs scored in the first half. Now, I don't know how many runs, but it should be good. And Toronto can hit. So I didn't even really do much with this game. This is Pittsburgh in Colorado. I mean, who wants to talk about Urania and who wants to talk about Velasquez? Now I'll tell you this: Velasquez is off a good start. He pitched really well his last time out, and Urania pitched better than what he has all season long the last time out, but they're just both terrible. I mean, if you look at the numbers, they're red everywhere on my sheet. It's like, and red's bad, by the way. You don't want to be red on my sheet. You want to be green on my sheet, not red. But I did bet on the next one. This is Atlanta and San Diego. I'm all over Atlanta tonight. I think they've won 7 straight games. Snell has not put it together yet, and you want to bet against guys that haven't put it together yet. I mean, his game scores are really low, his numbers are really high. So Strider has a 2.95 xFIP type number, and Snell's 5, so it's almost double what it is. So I think you're going to get a a good kick from Strider. Now these guys just played each other, and they both pitched against each other in the same game. Strider did an average game, and for the way it is right now, Snell pitched a game score 31, which is his average for the season. It's 36, but I mean, he's been terrible, so he can't get past 5 innings. And the Braves only scored 2 runs yesterday, so the Braves might go out and score 16 runs tonight. So I just gave out somebody who's going to score 17 runs, Jeff, and 16 runs. I've fallen off my chair tonight. So anyway, I think what you're looking at here is Strider goes out, Strider pitches well. If Strider pitches well, it doesn't matter what Snell does. And then you got Snell, who just hasn't been doing much against probably one of the best offenses going in baseball right now. Ray against Gilbert tonight. I think the line's too high. I would not be on Gilbert. That doesn't mean I'm going to be on Ray. But how do you bet against the Milwaukee Brewers who can just keep winning games? And you got Seattle out there just trying to stay above 500. But you don't want to get involved in Gilbert. It's too high. I do like Chicago tonight on the run line. They play against the Cubs. They play Oakland. I'm not a big Stroman guy. I always think that he's a little tiny guy, and it's not that bothers me. It's just that the consistency in what he does is not good. But he's been pretty good so far. He's kind of one of those guys that you go back and go, holy crap, he's one of those 238 type guys that are, balls are going to start finding a hole. But what I like about him is he's got a real high ground ball rate. Okay. So even when he does give up, he doesn't strike guys out, the balls are in play. They're always on the ground. That it's just amazing. He's got a 69% right now ground ball rate. And then he's facing a guy in Waldichuk that pitched his best game last time. So if he pitched his best game last time and his game score for the season is 24, and he pitched a 58 the last time, he's really a bad pitcher. So I expect him to give up some runs tonight. I think that Stroman will be fine. I took the Cubs, I think first 5 run line in that game. I don't remember, but I think I did. And then the last game of the night kind of confuses me, so I'm not playing it. It's Miguel against Kershaw. Betts is not playing tonight. He's on maternity leave, so he's going to be out. I don't know, maybe a couple days. So they're having Outman bat in the leadoff spot, and they're playing Hayward. So sure, that doesn't necessarily cover Betts, but be honest, Betts is batting, I think, 265 right now. He's not batting 350. And here's what I'm going to say about the Dodgers. If you think the Dodgers are going to win 100 games, they're going to need Betts to bat 350, and they're going to need, Freeman to hit 325, but Freeman's going to have to hit, 40 home runs.
He did hit 2 last night. He finally hit 2.
And they still lost.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of tells you a little bit about this team. They've got 3 guys that can play. They got Betts, they got Freeman, and Will Smith. And Will Smith's out on a concussion thing right now. So they got some guy, it's crazy. And yes, TJ, I liked the Mets yesterday. I had them on my thing. I just didn't play them. I should have played the Mets yesterday. But I'm not going to bet them today because you know how many wins Clayton Kershaw has, Jeff?
How many wins? What do you mean?
Career wins for Clayton Kershaw right now.
No.
199.
I knew you were going there.
Do you think I'm going to bet? Do you think I'm going to bet against that? I'm not going to bet against that.
No. Well, then the Scotty play there is Kershaw first 5 minus the hook, right? Get them through 5. Hope they have the lead, and then you move on. It's funny because I was looking last night at May first 5. If you wanted to get into the Dodgers, and minus the hook was like minus 110 or something, and then following the game. But as TJ put it, they clawed back. The Mets just wouldn't go away. They brought the kid up at third. Was it Beatty? He's up
Mhm.
there now. So my lead-in question after all those breakdowns, you talk about the market correcting themselves. Teams that were supposed to be good that have started off slow. Dodgers. I talked to you backstage about the Padres. They got shut out 1-0 on Sunday, and they got shut out again. I know Tatis is coming this weekend, but their offense has been anemic. I mean, even without Tatis, the only one hitting over there is Bogarts. I mean, Soto's not even batting his weight. Manny's just being Manny. I mean, they've been anemic. Uh, Gosman gets his boobs lit up last night in Houston. But my point is, Houston finally, they're not playing well. There's a lot, Philadelphia Phillies, who made the huge run in the second half. It was, I don't want to say a miracle, but it was a miracle. And they're getting, they've done nothing this year. St. Louis Cardinals kind of going through the motions. There's a lot of teams going through the motions, and hats off to the Pirates. Hats off to like Arizona being pesky. So to the people watching and listening, the way you look at this and you talk about the market correcting themselves, how should they approach these games? We're not going against streaks. For us here at ECSI, the VIPs know this. We don't go against streaks. We don't step in front of buses or vice versa. We're playing team totals. We're looking for some plus money. We're looking for reasons to get into certain games. How would you tell these guys to read and jump into the market?
Well, pick your spots wisely, because I think what I would tell you that it's pretty easy to eliminate games you don't want to play because of certain things. So then you end up with, okay, I've got a handful, I've got a handful of games maybe that I do like. Well, then what I would tell you to do with those handful of games that you do like is to qualify them however you want to qualify them. So say, okay, I can't play, like I couldn't play Cleveland today because I don't want to bet against the Detroit Tigers. But I can't play on the Detroit Tigers because they're the damn Detroit Tigers. Okay, well, there's two games, there's two teams you're not going to play at all, right? So you follow where I'm going. So I would tell you a little bit of that, but think about it from a different level, right? So the Milwaukee Brewers can pitch. They're going to be able to pitch all season long. So a lot of times what's going to happen with the Brewers games is they're going to be looking at low scoring under kind of pitching games. When you want to bet on the Brewers is you want to bet on them when they're winning and when they're hitting, right? So keep an eye on certain things. So one of the things that I look at, and I think, and I know that this is going to sound silly because of all the different things I look at, I look at all the different metrics that you can think of. And I look at certain things, like I just go look at on FanGraphs. I'll go click a button and I'll change the team metrics to the last 7 days. I don't want to know what they did. I don't want to know what they did in week one already. That week one's gone. Whatever they were doing in week one. Remember what the Cardinals did the first couple of days against Toronto? They scored 35,000 million runs and hit 17 home runs in 2 days or whatever they did. So that's all well and gone now. They're not that same team right now. So the last 7 days is important to understand what your offense is doing. For pitchers, it's a little different, but for offense, it's the last 7 days is important. So I'll go click a button, change it to 7 days. And then all I want to do is I want to look at one thing: weighted runs created plus. That's it. Show me the top 5-10 teams in the league. Show me what average looks like. It's all graded on a 100 scale. So if you're 100, you're exactly even. You're average. If you're over 100, it's great because you can say you were 125 weighted runs created plus for the last 7 days. Well, that means you're 25% better than the average team on offense. That's a great thing to be able to say. And if if you, what's that question? Is Scott your baseball shark? So if you do it the other way and you're at a 60 over the last 7 days, you're 40% worse than a Major League Baseball average. So if I do that right this second, I always have this stuff right in front of me. So I'm going to click it. There's the teams. And then if I go change it from full season to 7 days, I go click weighted runs created plus. So the number one team in Major League Baseball over the last 7 days is the Baltimore Orioles, 149. That means they're 49% better than the average team. The next team is the Chicago Cubs, the Atlanta Braves, the Tampa Bay Rays, and then the New York Mets. Those 5 teams you want to bet on. You don't want to bet against them. So if you find yourself into a position where you're trying to pick out, okay, I want to bet this game or that game or this game or that game, don't bet against those 5 teams unless you got a pitcher that is going to sit here and go lights out against somebody, because you need a lights out pitcher to beat those teams. And vice versa is true on the other side. If you look at the bottom, you got the Colorado Rockies are 61. So that means they are 39% worse than an average team on offense. That's pretty bad. Well, I don't know. That's really bad, not pretty bad. So how can you be playing on the Colorado Rockies? So I will say this. How many games have the Colorado Rockies lost in a row now? I think it's up to 6. And see how the correlation works? If you're not scoring runs, you're not hitting, you're not going to win. But you also want to be looking at the bottom feeders to be picking on, to be betting against them. That bottom feeder list includes the San Diego Padres, the Chicago White Sox, the Kansas City Royals, the Washington Nationals, the Colorado Rockies, right? All those teams are teams that you kind of want to go and not be betting on. So, if you decided, if you were looking at those bottom feeders and you go, holy shit, I kind of like them, I think they're going to be a competitive game. You know what kind of game it's going to be? 3-2. So if you like them, play an under. I don't know. Does that help answer that question a little bit? I mean, that's kind of how I look at it in terms of, at the end of this, 162 games will take out the bottom feeders, stretch everybody out. The real teams will be the real teams after 162 games. Some of those teams that make it to the playoffs will be set up differently than others. Some teams are really 162 game teams. The St. Louis Cardinals are a perfect example of that. So the St. Louis Cardinals, for example, are a team that will possibly make the playoffs. But once they get to the playoffs, they ain't got any pitchers that are going to match up with other teams' aces. So they're not going to last long in the playoffs. So over the course of a season, things are going to happen. Teams are going to be hot. They're going to be cold. Things are going to go on runs. But I would tell you to try to, when you're picking out the games to bet on, kind of sort through it. Understand that a lot of this is a blip in the radar screen. So what year, Jeff, was it? Because how foggy my memory is on certain things to specifics. The COVID year, was that 2020? Was that 2020?
2020, yeah.
Right? That's the 60 game season, right?
Yeah.
So you remember who was in there? The Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins. I don't remember what they were called at that time. The Marlins were in the playoffs and actually won a series in the playoffs. The Dodgers were the best team in baseball, and they won that World Series, whatever 60-game World Series means. But, over the course of 60 games, if you go back and you look at, say what the records were last year after 60 games, I bet you'd be shocked. Like the Phillies weren't near there. They weren't close to being in there. They wouldn't have made the playoffs, so some other team would have been in there. But you start looking at some of this stuff and you got to go, okay, well, it's just a segment of time. And that's what baseball is. Baseball is a complete sprint, stop, sprint, stop, sprint, stop, sprint, stop, sprint, stop. That's what it is. You got 3-game series, 4-game series, two every week. and you got to put your thoughts together based on what is a team supposed to be at the end, where are they at now, and how do I capitalize on whether they're hot or cold, and how do I make my bets to move that way. So anyway, that's how I would look at it.
No, and I agree. This teams that are not playing well that you have in the bottom feeders that might catch lightning in a bottle. I mean, go back a handful of years ago when the Nationals were 6 or 8 games under 500. They caught lightning in a bottle. They win the World Series. I mean, look at the Phillies last year, who were again below 500. They catch lightning in a bottle. It's not how you start this marathon. It's obviously how you finish this marathon. And as you have broken down very nicely, the fact is, I don't expect the Padres to be bottom feeders all year.
So here's their lineup tonight, Jeff. So Grisham's starting in center field. He's batting 222. So we said that the league average right now is 249. So he's one guy below league average. Machado 239. So there's two guys. But well, let's just count the guys that are above. It'll be easier. Soto 164. Bogarts 362. There's one guy above average. Carpenter 167. Cronenworth 207. Kim 236. Odor 136. They got one guy, Jeff. So you want to know why they're not winning? They ain't hitting. So it don't matter what the pitchers do. If you're not hitting, you're not going to win these games. So Bogarts has 10 RBIs and 4 home runs. The only guy doing anything on that team. So look at the other side of the lineup tonight. Acuna 389. Well, there's one guy over the number. Olsen 299. Two guys over the number. Riley 317. Murphy 255. Albies 250. Grissom 313. They got 6 guys over the average tonight. And I told you that Bogarts had 4 home runs and 10 RBIs. Acuna 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. Olsen 5 home runs, 17 RBIs. Riley 4 home runs, 11 RBIs. Murphy 3 home runs, 13 RBIs. Albies 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. It's a mismatch, man. And of course, what'll go happen is the Padres will go win 7-1. That's the way baseball works.
Yes. No, that's exactly the way baseball. Always expect the unexpected. Before we wrap up, Angels 2-0 bottom of the second. Sox 1-0 top of the second. Texas, Kansas City just started. Evaldi versus Keller. The Rays 8-0 bottom fourth. Baltimore, Washington 0 in the bottom of the third. Closing thoughts, sir.
Miami scored 4-2 Miami.
4-2 Miami, and San Fran scored 2 in the first, and Miami battling back. Closing thoughts.
I kind of like that. Well, closing thoughts is that, you know what, baseball it's a long game, it's a long season. You know, you gotta learn to ride with what you're riding with and how you look at things. You know, it's hard to explain to people that you want to go out and ride streaks, and then you tell them, okay, well, I want to ride a streak for this, but when a guy's streaking on that, I want to go against it. You know, so that's what I was talking about with the sustainability stuff through some of that stuff with the baseball stuff. But that's the way baseball works. You got to figure it out and paint your picture, right? So if you're painting a picture, or let's put it this way, if you're telling a story of a game, and you can go and say, well, I think this is what's going to happen. I think this is what you're going to do. I'm going to answer that question. How many baseball bets do you lay in a week? But so when you lay this out there and you're telling a story, at the end, does your story make any sense? Does it have a completion? Did it become a story like a book? Or was it a bunch of hodgepodgey crap that was short stories that were mixed in and you don't even know what you said? Because your story needs to make sense. And if you can do that in a baseball game, you should bet it. Now, in answer to that question from Beach Bum there, it says, how many baseball bets do you lay in a week? I would tell you that it very, very much depends. And it depends on what I'm betting. Now I'll usually bet probably on average. I'm just going to say on average 3 games a night. That's probably on average. Now I might play 6. I might play 2. Yesterday I played 0 because the one game I did bet got rained out. So so then you take that times 7. So a minimum, on average, probably 20 to 21 bets a week on baseball. So I don't think that is a big number to be betting, because some guys go out there and bet a whole bunch. Now, do you combine that with your prop bets? Now, prop bets are a different market. So, and it's a different way of thinking. It's not the same thing. We talked about this for the last couple of nights. When you're a sports gambler and a sports bettor, you bet differently than what the prop people do. The prop people are like former or even concurrent fantasy players, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but you bet them differently. And the reason I tell you that is because when I make a bet, I expect to win the damn thing. When you make a bet as a prop bettor, a lot of times what you're going to do is put out there 3, 4, 5 bets at all these plus money numbers to try to win 1 or 2 of them to at least make money. So you're expecting to lose quite a few of those prop bets, over strikeouts, over under strikeouts. This guy's going to hit a home run. This guy's going to have more more than a half total bases, or 1.5, whatever the numbers are. So if you're betting props, you might be in a situation where, okay, you bet 3 games a night and you bet 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 prop bets. So now all of a sudden you got 8 bets out there. So it depends on then what does your market for those look like? Like for me, if I bet a game, I'm going to bet by units. So I'm going to bet whatever 1 unit is, or 1.5 or 2 units, whatever I'm going to bet on that game. I already know what my unit size is, but that's what I'm going to bet. When I bet prop markets, I bet half units only. I don't bet more than half units on props.
There is a million ways, peoples, to skin this cat. Again, for the ECSI VIPs, very simply, we play every game for 1 unit. If I tell you to step on the gas, we're in it for 1.5 units. We're trying to extract as much plus side of the money versus laying the juice. Now, with that said, we have our pizza and beer, which is usually a quarter. I always use $100 as a unit size. Very simple. And pizza and beer is a quarter. It's pizza and beer. That's what it's called. If you want to get 4 gallons of gas, you can call it the gas play or whatever it is. Again, and the product, it's a whole different market that Scotty has talked about as well. And there's a bazillion people on social media. Everyone is an expert. Everyone has the right way. Everyone has recreated the wheel, and I'm being very sarcastic here. But as Mr. Beach Bum, again, structure and discipline, and that's exactly
a great
what
point.
It is.
Great
structure and discipline.
Great way to say what all I just said in an hour in 2 words.
Structure, discipline, money management. Don't chase. And that will go a long, long way in this market. Myself and Scotty will try to get back to us later in the week. We did a show last Friday. I will be co-hosting at the Pepe Compound Friday night in Canton on SportsMap Radio. So you and I will either have to come back Wednesday, which is tomorrow, or we will do our show like we did on Sunday. But again, we will get myself and Scotty back for sure to talk some baseball. Close, Scotty, where they can find you, your work, and what you're doing for the baseball market.
Well, I have a website, and it's mlb-daily.com. And I haven't been on there for a little while, but I post a lot of stuff on there. I post a lot of things I think about, post a lot of different insights. I also have a Telegram page and a Telegram service where I post all my plays. And I also give out the Webby odds, which are my lines, and these data numbers that I just ran off and said a lot about. That's all right there. I share that with everybody. And then what was cool is I got a Telegram message from one of the guys the other night, and he said, I really like it. He said, the information is that one of these things is I used it the way I wanted to use it, the information, and I hit a 7-leg round robin, whatever. And I'm like, whatever, I don't bet that way. But you know what? That's what you do with information. You use it how you want to use it. I use it the way I want to use it. And you know what I mean? That's you root for everybody to win. And you just, there's not one right way. There's a lot of right ways, but there is plenty of, I shouldn't say plenty. That's not the right way to say this. There is definitely wrong ways, and there's definitely people you don't want to listen to. There's definitely things that, you know, they're going to steer you the wrong way. And I just hope and people find us and find you and find what we do, because we're really here trying to help people, and not only help them, but show them the path. Right. So that's what I do. I try to do that stuff. You know, if you want access to my plays and you want all that stuff, I do charge $49. But that's a month. You want to do it for a year, it's $200. I'm not trying to make anybody crazy. Just pay the little app fees and all the other crap that you got to pay for to run these websites and all that crap. So anyway, glad to have you on board, and glad to say hello. And great questions from Shady today. Really appreciate it, Shady, or Beach Bum, or all of that above. Shady, you Beach Bum, all of it. It was great.
Shout out to Connor, Billy
Yeah.
Hewlin, TJ. Who else did we have? We had Mr. Beach Bum. We had Shady himself. We had a bunch of followers, a bunch of listeners. Again, if you're not following us and you don't want to miss a show, just jump over to YouTube, East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's free. Turn on your notifications. Go on Twitter. Do the same thing at EC Sports Invest, at Webby20MLB. And for myself, any questions, comments, or concerns, you can go right over to our webpage at www.eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. Up on the top right, there is some plans and pricing there for as little as $3 a day. A Venti large, a Venti at Starbucks.
Hey, how about the Red Sox?
Did they finally push 2 more across?
They got bases loaded right now.
Well, thank God I don't have them. I have not got a bases loaded hit in 8 days. So I'm not on the Red Sox. So you'll probably get a base hit. So that's good news for you, sir. Thank you.
Justin Turner's up.
Oh, maybe he'll go yard for you, make it 5-0. I did want to just say this. Your boy Taj threw 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 7 Ks. So a very nice outing from him. And I will tell you this about Chris Sale tonight. Chris Sale, 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 6 Ks. So maybe Chris is not going to be sticks and sail away tonight. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. Everyone here tonight, thank you guys. Amazing show. Myself and Scott will be back at some point this week. Always remember this. If you are wagering tonight, please do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number, 800 Gambler, I do think. Why? Myself and Scotty care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2024 and beyond. Go have a day. Go grab a dog. Go grab a beer, pizza, whatever makes you smile. And we'll see you tomorrow.